Hello and welcome to Teletour. My name is Igor. I'm a tour guide for Normandy Tour and I will present you today Giverny, the house of Claude Monet, the founder of the Impressionist movement. Giverny is located just 10 minutes from Vernon, about 30 minutes from Rouen, and about an hour from Paris. While his rent in Véteuil in a small house ended in April 1883, Monet was looking for a large, low-rent house away from Paris, from his rivalries and the gossips, especially because he lived with a married woman, Alice Auchédé. While visiting the borders of the Vexin, he discovers from the door of the little train between Vernon and Gagny, Giverny, a small village of 279 inhabitants. Finally, he came across a peasant house at a place called Le Pressoir, bordered by the Rue du Haut and the Chemin du Roi. It is preceded by a vegetable garden and an orchard, the Clos Normand. The enclosed set of walls extends over 96 acres. Its owner, Louis-Joseph Saint-Jean, agreed to rent it, and Monet moved there on April 29, 1883. A month later, he transformed the garden, built 3 greenhouses, and bought, on the other side of the Chemin du Roi, a land where, after many administrative difficulties, he succeeded in digging a pond and then built the Japanese bridge in 1895 so that the light passes under the bridge and illuminates the shadow. Claude Monet then bought the property in 1890. The house where Claude Monet lived from 1883 to 1926 was refurbished to his care, keeping the pink plaster. He also repainted it in the colors of his palette: green doors and shutters, bright chrome yellow dining room adorned with Japanese prints from the 18th and 19th century, predominantly in blue. Here is the dining room of Claude Monet, all yellow. He would make this with this color, so he decided to put this yellow pigment everywhere. So Claude Monet mixed the pigment to get this very specific color. So you should imagine this room with many kids, a large family, many friends. All the time there was usually a cat standing here, so he got this cat from the Japanese ambassador to France, fine China cat. And everywhere these Japanese prints. It was really, he was maniac about Japanese style, Japanese culture. And we continue with the last room, the kitchen with its walls tiled with blue and white earthenware in Rouen ceramic and its sky blue jacquemart furniture. And the kitchen is really the most amazing room, all blue, with a lot of copper pans and utensil for cooking, and all blue kitchen with a magnificent large stove in the kitchen. Voilà. So Monet was there very often cooking also. He loved good food and he cooked a lot. Well, he had a chef, but he would enjoy cooking for his guests sometimes. Voilà. And likewise for the garden, he diverted an arm of the Epte River to supply a pond crossed by the Japanese bridge. A collector of horticultural magazines, Claude Monet shows himself to be a perfectionist for his garden, hiring up to 7 gardeners, one of whom is responsible for removing the drops of rain or dew from the water lilies. When Claude Monet died on December 5, 1926, Michel, his only surviving son, inherited the property at Giverny, the paintings there, and a large collection of 243 Japanese prints. Preferring to go on safaris in Africa, Michel Monet was not really attached to the family home. Blanche Monet Auchédé, the daughter of Alice and widow of Jean, Monet's elder sons, maintains the house and the garden with the help of the head gardener, Monsieur Lebray. When Blanche died in 1947, the garden was almost abandoned and nature took back its rights. Michel Monet would die in 1966 in a car accident. Without any heir, he had bequeathed by will the property and collections of Giverny to the Academy of Fine Arts of France. Jacques Carlu, the architect of the Palais Chaillot, the member of the Academy of Fine Arts and as such curator of the Marmottan Museum, did not have sufficient financial means to undertake a real restoration campaign. Nevertheless, he did a new roof, protected the prints, and transported what remains of the collection of the paintings to the Marmottan Museum. When Jacques Carlu passed away in 1977, the Académie des Beaux-Arts of France entrusted the rescue of Giverny to Gérald van der Kemp, crowned with the success of the restoration campaigns of the Palace of Versailles. The house was in terrible condition at that time, after 30 years of neglect, and desolation reigned in the garden. The Clos Normand was invaded by brambles and weeds. Many trees had died. The greenhouses no longer had windows. The plant supports and trellises were completely rusty. In the water garden, the Japanese bridge was rotting in black water, and the banks were destroyed by nutria. The budgets allocated by the Academy of Fine Arts and the General Council of Eure was not sufficient. Gérald van der Kemp and his wife Florence appealed to American patrons to save Giverny. Donations flew in, mainly from the Versailles Foundation Giverny Incorporated in New York. This hopefully allowed the restoration work to be carried out. For 3 years, considerable work continued. The house, workshops, furniture and prints have been restored. Gérald van der Kemp and Gilbert Hay, the young head gardener trained at the National School of Horticulture, were reviving the gardens. Dead trees were cut, flower bed plowed, paths redrawn, and the Japanese bridge rebuilt, identically retaining the wisteria that Monet had planted. The edge of the banks were consolated by sheet piles. The archives, the countless photographs, and the memories of those who had known the garden and the artist helped to find the plants and the favorite varieties of Claude Monet himself. Some of the plants having disappeared, they were replaced by others, similar ones. Finally, since the garden had to welcome visitors, the paths were widened, cemented, and lined with bricks. In 1980, the Claude Monet Foundation was created, and on June 1st, the property opened its doors to the public. Very quickly, it became a popular destination for more and more visitors from all over the world. The second most visited tourist site in Normandy, after the Mont Saint-Michel, the house and gardens of Giverny welcome around 500,000 visitors every year from April to November. Upon the death of her husband in December 2001, Mrs. Florence van der Kemp, corresponding member of the Académie des Beaux-Arts, became curator of the Claude Monet Foundation and continued the work of her husband until her death in February 2008. Hugues Gall was elected director of the Claude Monet Foundation by the Académie of des Beaux-Arts in March 2008. And the pond you see here has actually many fishes, trouts and carps, and when Claude Monet was living in Giverny, once in a while he would ask the gardeners, or himself, he would take a trout and grill it, cook it. Claude Monet was a very good chef. He cooked very often at home for his many friends and guests and large family. He liked simple French food, though very well done. He was really a gourmet, so when something like the simple omelette or eggs, it had to be perfect. He had his own eggs, he had his own chicken at home, and even a small vegetable lot. So it was almost self-sufficient here at Giverny, like it should be in those days when you live in the countryside. The flowers and plants at Giverny are changed very regularly, depending on the season and the weather. Today, the gardens employ 8 people year-round. Around the pond, there are weeping willows, poplars, bamboos, quince trees of Japan, cherry tree of Japan, alders, ash tree, and many, many water lilies in the pond. The water and the mirroring effect has always been a major part of Claude Monet works, from the Parliament in London to the late water lilies. When he was still young and poor, he even had a small boat in order to paint on the Marne River south of Paris. Having later on his own lake or pond has been an achievement for Claude Monet. And he would actually paint a lot of time on the boat here on his own pond and or on the side of the river. You should know also that this water, as I said before, comes from. So I'm standing now inside the house of Claude Monet in his workshop or atelier where Claude Monet would finish his paintings. These paintings are copies of the actual ones. They are exactly the same ones which were there when Claude Monet himself was inside the house. You can see by the end here his first wife, Alice Doncieux, and a friend on the Marne or on the Seine River. Here some drafts of the water lilies, bales of hay or straw, portrait of Renoir. Here the Cathedral Notre-Dame in Rouen. Here the view probably of Jean Monnet in front of the house, just in front of the house. Here again is Alice Doncieux, his first wife. She is also there, the lady with the umbrella, just there. So Alice is in many paintings. And the painting just here, just in front of you, here I'm zooming, is the one which started everything. It started the Impressionist movement. This one is called the Impression Rising Sun. This is the one which was bought by Monsieur Chédé. And then Monsieur Chédé would lose his wife. Claude Monet would take Alice Chédé, or wife. But this is what really started the fame, thanks to an art critic in the Charivari who wrote about this painting. Well, if it's written Impression Rising Sun, I'm very much impressed. I don't understand what it means, because paintings back then should represent different subjects, things about the army, the great victories of Napoleon, mythology, religion, and the black had to be predominant. And here you don't have any subject, no horses, no battles, no face, nothing. So it's very much different from what was done before, very much. Here a nice view of Venice, where Claude Monet and his wife Alice would spend their honeymoon way after their wedding. Voilà. And again here you can see Manet and a friend, close to Paris probably. Voilà. I'll continue showing you the house. Let's go. So that was the main entrance of the house here, this way, with a small place for books, small library. And let's go up the steps, see the bedroom of the artist. This way it leads to the master bedroom of Claude, and next room his wife. Here is a painting of Renoir, friends of Claude Monet. This is here, you can see the bed of Claude Monet. That's his bed, this is where he slept. And Claude, sometimes Alice would join him, but he was most of the time alone. Claude Monet had a very strong temper, and he was actually by himself inside his bedroom quite often. He made here in this room much larger windows as what it was before. I told you before that Claude Monet refurbished, changed the decoration, decorated the house himself. So he made this room for himself to have a view on the south, on the rising sun, and very large windows. You can see the green outside, very small balcony, and he would not put any shutters, and he would close the curtains very rarely, only when he was really upset. In front of his bed, wonderful Louis XV office, a sign of wealth, because by the end of his life Claude Monet was okay, he had much more money, so things were going much better, so he bought himself a nice piece of furniture to show that financially he was now stable. And just by his bed is a very nice picture of Claude with his wife, with Alice, here during their honeymoon in Venice. And here again Claude and Alice. So he really loved her, they loved each other, really. They were the perfect soulmate. And above his bed you can see here a Caillebotte painting and a Renoir. Gustave Caillebotte was a dear friend of Claude Monet, such as also was Renoir. Here you can see. Let's continue. Now we have the bathroom, the small bathroom of the artist. There was running water in the house. The house was very convenient, but there was no shower or hot bath. He would take a bath here in this room. We had running cold water in the house, and it would just heat if needed. Well, I hope you had a good tour with me at Giverny, at the house of Claude Monet, and I wish to see you very soon for another tour in Normandy and in France. See you soon with Teletour. Bye bye.